Theme song for a show. How do you work this thing? And something like... Oh boy, hold on. Theme song for a show. There we go. Totally not a feedback loop. Learning the technology. And hi. Welcome back. Welcome back to you can't do streams on your computer, Tom. Figure it out, kid. Sorry about that. You were listening to me, talk to me. That's over now. I think I got it fixed. But this is a little harsh. Hold on. Let's turn that down a little bit. Try that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. A little better. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Fridays. Welcome to this Friday. Welcome to You Can't Do That on Salesforce. I am your friendly neighborhood Tom. And we're building video games. We're building role-playing games. And we're going to pick up where we left off last week. During our last episode, we got I guess I'll call it the battle math kind of figured out. Heroes can swing swords and do damage to monsters, and heroes can wear armor and not take damage from monsters. And it ain't perfect, but it is working. And we'll get into that in a little bit here and take a look at how that all came together. And I'm going to take a little switch, flip over from just living in some flow logic, build a little UI maybe for this game. Get some heroes and monsters to show up on screen, and maybe we can click things, not just buttons and flows, and do a little Lightning Web component work today. So that's the plan. The show always goes where it wants to goes. In fact, I got to try to find let's find our chat window here so I don't miss anybody on the thing. Let's see, where did it go? You're in here somewhere. I use this app called Restream, and it's sort of like 3 layers deep. 3 layers deep chat. So I think I found us. Here we are. All right, cool. There we go. Fire away. And we'll get started. So where are we at with YCDRPG? Well, we got flows. Don't you knows? We got some flows. And I'm not going to go through all of them. This is my layout. I don't know if I love this. I don't know if y'all can really see. We'll see how well this works. Trying a little side-by-side situation here. Let me know if that's good, bad, or ugly, or completely illegible. But try to keep the Visual Studio up right alongside the browser window, so I'm not burying stuff underneath each other. By the way, this is episode 7. I'm not sure if this is coming across as episode 6, depending on where you're looking, but we are definitely in episode 7 mode. So either way, we are. Yep, cool. It says 7. Good deal. All right, so the big flow that we've been living in is this play flow. This is where where everything goes down with the game logic. And I think this is a good place to start to have some characters on screen and, click on the wizard so he can, click on the monster for whatever monster you want to do damage to, and have cool pictures for everybody, and give us a good excuse to do some LWC work, because The other thing, when I'm not super stoked about flows, I'm super stoked about reactive flows, because I think that stuff's pretty sweet. So being able to have your LWCs and your flows talk together and play nice, I dig that. So I want to do a little bit more of that, and I'm probably going to have to look at some old code to remember how to do that, because I don't remember everything. So we'll dig up some prior project reference material. But anyway, here's the big bad flow that does all the work, and I think we're not far off from needing like some other UI inside of Salesforce that shows you all the games that you're playing. Because right now, if you want to play this game, I got to fire up this flow and debug it manually, and that's no fun. So maybe we'll try to get that squared away here at some point as well. But I think where we're going to do work is, I think here. I think this screen 3. So this screen is important for monster picking for whatever character's turn it is to attack. This is where you actually pick the monster. So this, I think, will be a nice amalgamation of, we need some way to represent a character on the screen. The characters are our player, our hero who's fighting. We need to be able to represent the monsters, a list of one or more. We probably want to have some kind of interaction, i.e. click the monster, does the thing. Really, click a monster means go to the next step for us, or the next screen, which we can control between Lightning Web Components and flow events. So it's still going to be very flowy, but instead of clicking the next button, I'm going to click a monster, I think. And then the other thing we can do here is, if I hark back to like Final Fantasy on the Nintendo, right? You had your heroes on the left. Whoever was up was sort of walked out into the, amongst the list. So, wizard, other wizard. I don't remember all the characters' classes. So I think we can replicate that too. So we can have our monsters on the left, our heroes on the right, and whichever hero is kind of active, we show that in the UI, and then make all the monsters clickable, and we'll start there. And then if we can get really clever with, I don't know, damage, and little animations and stuff like that, we'll see. I think we're going to have a lot of just boxes on screens with letters in them to start, but we'll try to make this look nice as we go through this. So I may have done a little bit of tweaking with this after our last episode. So I have a few Lightning Web Components in here, like literally nothing has been done to them. So we'll start there and just figure out how we can get some of these things going. Perhaps before we do that, I grab our let's get our data model document up, because I think we can do a little more than just data model with that. So here I am in the, this is the GitHub repo for our project. And just a quick, let's see, light seems good here, right? You all can see my face. Cool. Oh wait, that's not what I want. I want to actually be able to edit this thing. Okie dokie. There we go. All right, that's what we're looking for. So here's our object model. We've been looking at this a lot. We're gonna keep coming back to this. I think we've got some boxes highlighted here that we haven't, or some boxes done that we haven't highlighted yet. But let's add a new tab here. I'll just call this UI. Try to keep it really pretty simple. This is not going to be fancy, but let's imagine we are, oh, I don't like a square. I want a rectangle. I want a rounded rectangle. Who am I kidding? Here we go. Actually, I don't want a rounded rectangle. What did you guys do on the stream today? Oh, we watched Tom pick squares and rectangles and decide if he liked them or not. It's great content. All right, here's our, let's see, this is our screen, our flow screen. Let's see if I can get this to Nope, top left. There we go. Nope, that's not it at all. Why did you do that? Just leave it in the middle. I'd like it to, there we go. Can you tell I'm an expert at this app? Nope. So there's our flow screen. And then if I'm thinking about how do we want to show stuff on the screen, let's do, we'll do the right side. Let's do monster. Actually, though, I do want to leave that top. Uh-oh, where'd you go? There we go. So this is going to be monsters. And then the other side is going to be characters, sorry. Really feel like that's a name change that's going to happen here soon. And actually, these are game characters, if we're going to be really, really specific about it. If we're talking about the objects in our model, when we're dealing with a game, we have assigned our characters to the game. So we got monsters on the left, game characters on the right, something that looks like that. And these are actually not monsters. These are game quest step monsters. And if you'd like to follow along with the data model to understand that crazy naming convention, definitely check it out. In the GitHub repo has a link to it. And we'll bring it up 1,000 times here, no doubt. So that's technically what those, so when our game plays, we pick monsters for each step of the quest in the game that you're playing. So our first quest, I think, is called the Dark Cave of Darkness, and there's 9 to 12 steps when you play that quest. And every step, you could run into monsters. So in this case, we're building out the UI that says, show me the monsters on that step so we can fight them. And those are game quest step monster objects that we're dealing with. Now, we all know that Flow can't yet loop over components, but I've seen some recent LinkedIn posts and content from Salesforce that says that's coming soon. So that's cool. But in the meantime, we can't do that. And that's okay. We can do that with a Lightning Web component inside a Lightning Web, or we can have a Lightning Web component that manages the repeating over stuff. And then we can have a Lightning Web component that actually renders the thing. In our case, we need, if I want to show game characters on the right-hand side, that's a list of game character records. So I need to be able to pass that list somewhere to some component, and then the component can pass it down to child components and loop over them. So whether we have 2, 3, 4, 6 characters, we can take care of that. Same is going to be true on the monster side. We're going to have between 0 and I don't know how many. We haven't really made the number of monsters dynamic. It's not dynamic at all right now. It's always going to be a ghost and a goblin. But, you know, as things get more dynamic, we'll be prepared for that to, for that to scale, because we'll repeat over whatever number of monsters we've got on that step. So those are 2 components that we're gonna need. And if I wanted to delineate those somehow, sure. Let's okay. Green stuff is components we have to make. There we go. So I'm going to have a game characters repeater, and then I'm going to have 1 or more game character components. I'll throw 3 on screen just so we can indicate that. Drop that down a little bit because it's crowding the other title. Similar on this side, we're going to have, well, I'm lazy, so I'm going to copy it here. This is our game quest step monster. So we're going to have 1 of each of these. And I'm actually probably preemptively copying these because what we're also going to need is within each game character, we need a character, some way to render that. So I'm trying to be just really one-to-one with the objects that we have in our data model and the LWCs that I'm going to use to render them through. Because it's very possible that we might need to render a monster or a character or any other thing in some other way. So if I've got a couple of wraps around my LWCs here, I'll be able to reuse this character component at some other time. So if I think of character as like just Merlin the Wizard, right? The game character is Merlin the Wizard in this game. And then the game characters are Merlin and Hermione and Thor. Those have been our favorite characters thus far. Those are the characters teamed up in the game that we're playing together, and that's the outer box. Similarly, on the left, again, our monsters collective are all the monsters in this step that we're fighting. We've got each individual quest step monster, which represents an instance of a monster in our catalog of monsters that we can apply. Ghost and Goblin, that's all we got right now. So we're going to need a character component, a game character component, and then a game characters component. I might rename that to, game character collection or something like that. And then we'll do the same thing on the monster side. Cool. Design phase complete. I'm sure we'll keep adding back to this. Let's rename this a little bit. Flow screen, attack monster, attach monster. No, attack monster. There we go. All right, so a little bit of an inventory to start with. I'm confident that we'll be changing things around as we go here. Okay, let me just want to do one thing here. We might get a little more feedback, folks. I apologize if that's the case. Let's see. Interesting. Streaming. It's kind of weird. My it's like it's streaming, but it's not on. That's kind of weird. So it looks like we're live on. Well, I think we're live on LinkedIn. Yep. But our Twitch stream doesn't seem to be really happy right now. Let me just take a look here. What's going on? That's a little weird. Sure. And that's me. That's a recording on Twitch, but we're not, doesn't seem like it's streaming over there. What if we turn it off? Turn it back on? Well, there we are. Okay. No, wait. No, that's not it. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. We're live on YouTube. It looks like. Interesting. No, we're good there. Yeah, Twitch is being twitchy. Nope. That's okay. And we're back. All right. Well, maybe we just had some bandwidth issues or something there. All right. Well, we're live everywhere now. So that's cool. Okay. Where were we? We were not managing our stream. We're building We're building Lightning Web Components. So what have we got over here so far? I roughed in, really rough, a few LWCs that I figured we would need. Apparently I wrote OBS at some point in the process here, probably trying to open OBS on my computer. So I've got character, not, oh wait, that's the test. We don't need that. I've got character here. Stop comparing. Let's just edit. A character. I've got game character. These are completely empty right now. So let's start working these a little bit. Let's do character, game character, and then let's have one more component here that is game character. What do we think? Repeater. Sure. And character repeater is going to be the thing that displays. So in here we're gonna. I always like to just throw to-dos right in the HTML, so it's like staring me in the face all the time. We need to loop. These are going to be. We're going to loop game character LWCs in here. So we're going to need to be able to pass game character repeater something. We need something API-able that I think we can call game characters. And this is where we'll start. We want the flow to be able to pass us these game characters because it already has them, right? So if we can get it to pass the game characters to us, then we can loop those, we can do downstream stuff from there. We might get into a place where we have some philosophical, so I like trying to live in a world with reactive LWCs where the LWC has no responsibility except rendering and reacting to events by the user, meaning that LWC is not going to do any DML, that LWC isn't going to do any SOQL, that LWC isn't going to do anything. It shouldn't have to, right? Because it's being given everything from the flow. This gets sometimes a little complicated by when we have a scenario like this, where we're going to be able to pass the game character records into this repeater, but they're not going to necessarily have context about the character itself. So we may need our character component, which we're going to embed in each of these. If the purpose of that, and I guess we should talk about the responsibilities of each of these components, so maybe that'll help clarify some of this a little bit for us. If we have, oops, okay, is that working now? Oh, so weird, it thinks it's offline again. Huh. Well, I guess the Twitch stream just isn't happy with us today, so I apologize for that. Yeah, well, if you're on Twitch, I hope you're able to see, because I'm definitely not seeing anything. But all right, well, so our character, what's the responsibility of this character component? I think it's just to render the character graphic. Renders the graphic. It shows the name. Just core Tombstone kind of stuff on that component. And then our game character, that's going to render hit points. And it's going to react click event, right? It's going to be responsible for, I don't know if we're going to have a click event on this side for what we're doing here. We might have one eventually, but for where our game is at right now, there actually is no reason for me to click a character because it's already predetermined who's going to be fighting when. But so eventually maybe we'll have a click event, but not quite yet. So I'll put a little question mark at the end of that. And then the game characters, this is going to repeat, this is going to loop. This is just going to loop game characters. And then this is also going to, I'm going to run out of text space here really quick. This is going to, this actually doesn't, well, I was going to say this would have to respond back to the, to our flow. This does not have to react currently, so there's no reaction here. This is read only, really, the left hand or the right hand side with our characters for what we're doing here. We may use it for other purposes down the road, but for right now, it's just to render our stuff. Okay, on the monsters side, very similar. The lowest level monster components responsibility is to just render the monster graphic and name. Okay, the game quest step monster is where we have hit points, experience points. This has to respond to a click event because this is what, if I'm looking at our game, the current fighting character has to pick what monster it wants to attack. So that's what's going to happen there. And then game quest step monsters, its responsibility is to loop, and its responsibility is to react to, or I should say listen. Listen for click event. So we're going to try to separate duties here, right? We're going to have we'll have a click event on the game quest step monster, which passes that up to its parent, who is then responsible for listening for that event. I should say, let's say handle child click event, and then react back to flow. So what are we going to react back with? We're going to react back with something like selected monster. It's probably going to be something more like selected game quest step monster ID, right? That we need. This top level is what we're going to drag onto our screen flow, right? So we're going to drag game quest step monsters on the left. We're going to create a two column layout, drag the monsters to the left, drag characters to the right, assign variables to the attributes that are in each of these, and then let them go forth and do their thing. The right-hand side, again, the characters are read-only for now. We may need to indicate who the active character is so that we can do something visual with that. That's some data that we need to probably have go somewhere. And then we may need, well, the selected monster is something we do need to listen for and be able to send back. So this is going to define some of the inputs and outputs of our Lightning Web component when we configure it to play nice with flow. Just like you configure a variable or anything else with input or output options for its values. Same idea, just different implementation, and we have to dig into some code a little bit. So that kind of lays out the responsibilities of each of these. So if I'm going top to bottom here, in order for our game character repeater to repeat, that kind of implies that we have some game characters coming to it. I know those are going to be passed in, so I'm going to decorate that as with the API property. And then, are we going to have anything else come in? Right now, I don't think so. We're just going to receive that and then loop over them and send them downstream. So that one's pretty simple. We'll get into some styling and stuff like that eventually too, but for right now, that's going to be very, very simple. We have work to do on the metadata level here. We'll come back to that in a second. But for right now, we can just kind of assume, like, if I send this a list of game characters, it's going to loop over them and pass the responsibility downstream to other components. such as my game character component. In fact, we can, let's actually do this loop here. Template, if true, if we have game characters, oops. For everybody smarter than me out there, if I always do this way. I don't know if it's necessary, but I always like to test before I loop. So wait, template for each game characters for item, we'll call them game character. Okay, and then we're going to use C. Where are you? Game character. We're going to pass some stuff to that eventually. Oh right, we need a key on that. Equals. We know our game character is going to have an ID field, so I feel pretty comfortable using that as the key. And we will have to pass some more values here. We just haven't exposed any properties yet. And while that's cooking, I'm just going to test one thing here. Yeah, we're just not. I think my streaming software is just not happy about whatever's going on here. Bummer. Just not having a good time over on Twitch today. Sorry, folks. All right, that's too bad. Okay, so our game character component is now being looped within our game character repeater. So game character repeater's job is kind of done now, aside from us configuring it to be enabled for screen flows. Our game character, if we can, let's expose a, and maybe we'll try to be consistent with that naming convention actually as well. It's up here on our repeater. Let's call this game character records, just because we have a game character object. And we have a game character component. So I'm just gonna throw records on the end of things so it's consistent. Now this is obviously gonna break our repeater because we're referencing it the wrong way. I'm gonna be consistent to a fault and say that's our game character record. And there's that. So now we should be good again. All right, while that's cooking, let's come back over here. We're calling that game character record. So this is what we need to pass in our repeater. So we're going to pass that in. So now something. Oh, we're missing a wire here somewhere. Yep, we're missing it here. Okay. Good. I think we're good. Yep, got all our stuff there. All right, cool. Okay, so our repeater kind of done. Aside from some styling, it's passing everything it needs to the character. That game character record's going to have the hit points, and surely other stuff as time goes on. It should also know about the character record that it's passing in. Now, I don't think we can, when we're in a flow and we create those parent relationships, we can do that in context of the flow. I don't think we get any of that parent relationship data, though. I think the only thing we're going to get if we're passing a game character is the game character details. I don't think we're going to get the anything about the character itself there. I feel like my my video all kind of glitchy. I can't really tell. That's happening on the. It's definitely happening on the stream. Let me turn this off for a second because this feels a little weird. Hold on. We'll keep working here, but what's going on? I bet you it's this plug here. Seems a little out of whack. All right, we'll see how that does. Hopefully we're not all twitchy still. So our game character is not actually going to know about the character that it's trying to that it's going to represent. So we'll see. Maybe we do something clever up in the flow that actually passes that as well. That would be nice because then we don't have to. I want to avoid. This is philosophy, right? Like for in the spirit of what we're trying to do, I want to avoid these LWCs having to do anything except render and listen for events, right? We could say, hey, go get record, right, based on this record ID within the component. And yes, technically we might have multiple of the same component going and getting the same data. So it might be a performance question with, hey, how many LWCs do you want, asking for data at the same time. We could do that. Or we could try to get the flow to pass what we need it to pass, which is both the game character information and the character information. And we might have a little bit of work to do to say who belongs to who, and do we want that logic in the flow? Do we want that logic maybe in our LWC? So I think I did this once. Maybe this was with Uno actually, where we took we passed in it'd be the equivalent of the game character to each of these components, loop through it. And then we actually passed all of what would be the equivalent of the characters to each one. So it was like, hey, this is the game character you're actually going to render. Here's all of the possible characters you could render. Asking the LWC to pick the right one to render from there. We could do that. That might be the easiest way to handle this, because I know that we can make the flow get both of those data sets and make them available downstream. So yeah, this is about everything that the game character repeater needs to do right now. Now if we go down a level to our game character record, that's this here. This is our game character component, and the game character record is the data that we're gonna render. We can render a couple of things here. We could at least we'll keep it super simple. Let's render the let's not make assumptions. Let's make sure that we have our data. Okay. So if we have a game character record, then let's render a few things. We'll just render the game character record ID for right now. So we get something back there. We're going to show a lot more stuff, but for right now, that should do it. Okay, so then quick look here. Okay. So now that we've got that, we'll come back to the actual character component. I think we can go this far and actually get this repeater configured to go into our screen flow. All right, so I'm going to do that by shamelessly stealing from another project, because to think that I can remember exactly how this gets configured right out of the blue is foolish to assume. I know that we're going to expose our game character repeater to the to ScreenFlow. So to do that, we got to do a couple of things. First, let's expose it. Got to do that. Let's give it a name. So it's looks a little nicer than just the smash together title. And then I'm copying this from our Uno game that we built a while back, so most of this is nonsense. But what is not nonsense is one of these. Actually, that top one probably works pretty well for us. This is the game characters that we want to be able to pass by configuration in the flow. Input only. We're not going to get anything back. Let's call that. This has to match the whatever the name of our property is here. So let's make sure those are consistent. Game character records, and this is a game character object, so we can pass bona fide objects and their type, and we can pass arrays if we use the bracket mojo for those. So that's cool. That's all we need to say, hey, I'm going to pass you a parameter. The characters are kind of easy mode because it's read only. Right? We're not doing anything else to pass values back. It'll get a little more interesting when we do the monster side of the equation. But right now, it's just downstream. Here's what I want. Here's what I want you to render. And I think with that, we're able to actually configure this. So I'm going to sneeze and try to turn off my... That was very satisfying. I hope you didn't hear that. Okay, that's our game character. So let's put this in the flow. It's a little tight. I might adjust this a little bit. I'm going to have to refresh because my flow doesn't know about that component that we just created. So let's go back down to our screen flow where all this is going down. And let's do a little bit of layout here. I'll put a section in 2 columns because we're going to have characters versus monsters here. Here's my component. Here's my game character repeater. You can see that we're able to pass a parameter into this. So, I clicked it and it dropped it on the page. Forgot that that's how that worked. I'm going to give it a name. We're probably only ever going to use one of these. So, well, we won't. We'll use this on the monster side too, actually. But for right now, we can call it what it is. And then our game characters are get living game characters. And that's that. So now we can save this, and let's see if we can get to that step. Let us save and debug this. All right, we need a game ID for that. I think we have a game that's open from last week. I think G1 is still... I think this is still active. Someday I'll put a button out here that says play, and it'll take us through this process we're doing over and over here. Okay, so what have we got? We've got Hermione Granger's turn, and then this is our game character repeater. Within that, our game character components. And we've passed all that down through our configuration here. Not very exciting, but those are the Salesforce IDs of the game characters that we're rendering. We have some other data points. So if I could remember what is on this object. Whoops, let's go into one of these. The game character object itself has a few fields. Like we got hit points, we got sequence. Now the question is, will these render, right? The ID is always around. My question that I can't remember is, will these inherently be available by way of, because what's happening here? We've got this Lightning Web Component that I'm about to say, hey, render these hit points. In fact, let's hide our Uno game so I don't get completely confused. Here's my game character component. Right now I'm just showing the ID. Now I want to say, also please show the hit points of each of these characters. And that is a field on the same object as what is being passed. So I feel good about that. We're not traversing yet. We're operating on the same object. The question is, will this Lightning Web Component out here just waiting, expecting this field to show up? Is the flow going to pass the fields in their entirety, or do I need to do something different with my query when I get this data in the flow to tell it to do so? Let's find out. Okay. We really need that button on the game. I'm just gonna put this. I'm gonna create a new window here. So this is I feel like I did this on the last episode. This is the game ID to use, Tom. Cool. So those are the hit points of each of our characters. I realized we don't have max hit points. You know, we're just counting down hit points until people die. So if I maybe add that to our README backlog of stuff we need to do, need max hit points, not just current hit points. That seems important. Either way, these three characters have these many hit points remaining. So the good news is we didn't have to do anything different in our flow. When we pass this down, we're passing get living game characters, and we get that up here. And we're just saying store all fields. So hopefully store all fields is enough for everything to get pushed downstream. I don't know if it's only showing up because we have it as part of our criteria here. I guess we'll let's just drop sequence into the mix. We'll drop sequence in to make sure that it's obliging the sequence request that we've got here. I have no reason to believe that it wouldn't, but just to sort of, kind of tie out all the details here. Except I've lost my screen. There we go. So I'm confident that this is sorting these by sequence. Well, let's just make sure. And once that saves, okay, go back out here. Good, so they're sorted. Sequence is a field that we kind of rando generate within the game to dictate who's, basically it decides who's going to be attacked and in what order at the start of each round. So this is good. These are organized the way we would want them to be. there's maybe an argument that this is driving the sequence of attack. I think we may want something different like position in our game characters, because we kind of want to obscure, who's going to be attacked next versus how I want my team, set up and organized. So there might be we might need another data point there for, position versus sequence. Position could also drive some things like the odds to be attacked, right? You put put a big tanky character in the front position. The monsters are probably going to swing at that person first. And that's like yet another possible way that we could interpret the odds of someone being attacked, right? If they're in the first position, we talked last time, like, is it just random? Monsters randomly attack other people? Do they go after the strongest? Do they go after the weakest? Maybe that's hit points. Do they go after the person in the first position, with the highest percentage, something like that? We have data points, and we can do stuff with those data points throughout that process. Okay, so we need, let's see, game character, position versus sequence. We have sequence now. It's really more like attack, attack sequence. And maybe we can base those other criteria on that as well when we recalculate. Okay, so that's working. The whole point there is that's working. Now, what I can't do, unless this happens just by way of magic, is something like this. Go back to my game character. I'm going to get rid of sequence for now, just because we can see that it's working. So in a perfect world, I would be able to do this, right? Game character record dot character dot name, because that's how the relationship builds out in our data model. So I'd love to just be able to use that relationship notation and get there from here, so I don't have to pass anything else to the component. This is probably going to break. If I remember from Uno, we only get the current level record, no relationship data. And there's no, I don't think the flow is going to know that this is asking for that, so we won't really have a way to, to go get it. Maybe it'll prove me wrong. Let's find out. Yeah, so we it can't see that component or can't see that value. It's not telling us exactly what's going on here, but if I read between the lines, it's trying to find name. So it's actually trying to find character dot name, and it can't find name, which implies that it can't find character. This is undefined, says so here. Ergo, our flow is not passing our any parent level data. You can't expect it to be here. You can't expect it to arrive on your LWC from the flow automatically. And I don't know if there's a way for us to do that without, like, I can't come in here and say, choose fields, because I'm still only picking top level field or current object level fields here. So I don't really want to do that. Store all data. Yep. Okay. So what do? Well, we have a couple of options. We can have our component, our game character component, use the character ID that comes through, because we do get that, right? We are going to get this. I'm going to get the Salesforce ID of the character. I can then have the I can take a couple, choose our adventure here, right? I can tell the I can let the game character component do a wire call, a get record call, and go get that information. I could pass that data into the game character record as, you know, right along. I'm passing in the game character record. I could pass in a character record, so I could go have it ask for that. You know, there's a little bit of a performance question there, right? It's a little cleaner from from kind of a development perspective to say, here's an ID, render it for me, versus here's all the data, render it for me. And maybe we can do both, right? What we don't have right now is the lower level character component defined yet. So again, if I think about responsibilities, it's not the responsibility of the game character component to render anything except the hit points of the game character. It's going to ask the character component to deal with rendering a picture and maybe the name. So maybe we step there, and we're going to kick this debate down the curb a second while we build that next component, and then we can make a call from there. So up till this point, we've done our job, right? The game character doesn't look good, but it's rendering what it needs to render. So let's go to the next level here. Here's our character component. So what are we able to pass the character component right now? In our use case here, I can't pass it. I would love to be able to pass it a character record. You know, that would be nice. Just like we're doing the game character, pass it what it needs and it renders it. But I don't have that right now. So I could also pass it the character record ID. I could pass it that. I could also pass it, let's see, record ID is a special, right? LWC record ID. That's the, where'd you go? Well, I guess it doesn't matter what we call it. That's more of my flow and my LWCs are like getting mixed and mushed, because record ID is a magical, mystical property in flows to be able to pass the ID or the record itself. So that doesn't necessarily matter. We can call it character record ID. So I think what we could do is we could have both, right? We could say, if you get character record ID, then go get the actual record. If you have the character record already, then don't do that, right? And we can, in effect, populate the character record data variable in either direction. It's either going to be populated by us passing it in, or we're going to go get it. So maybe that's our tack. So let's do a get record wire on this. And if I can remember how to use all this. Because we would probably want to let's get this. We don't necessarily want to, I don't know if we actually want to do it on the wire, because I think I want to have a little bit of logic in here. What would be the impact of, we can't just, a wire would just kind of fire and forget. It's going to do it no matter what. I think we want to do this in like connected callback. So we can say if this dot character record, if that's null, and this dot character record ID is not null, then we can, you know what we can do? We can async this, and then we can await get record. What do we pass into that? We pass the ID and the fields. So it's going to look like, let's, this, now, character, the record ID is going to be this dot, and then the fields. So this is the other, I guess, side of this, right? Like we got to go get the fields that we want. If we were doing this through a flow and passing this down through, we would just get whatever we need. So this is kind of not what I want to do. But we'll build this out just to, you know, hopefully prove the point that, yeah, this will get us what we need. But in the long run, we wouldn't want to, I don't love, this is breaking my philosophical rule of don't have the LWCs. When you're working in a reactive flow world, don't have the LWCs do anything but react as along with it. That said, let's keep rolling. We'll roll through this and just to have it, have it implemented. So this is going to be an array of fields. I'm just going to grab the ID and the name. Where this also gets interesting a little bit is the data structure of this character record. When I get it back like this, I think it's going to look a little different than what gets passed from the flow, right? This was easy reference kind of stuff, but I think my record ID is going to return, if I can find it here, it's going to return the record in this format. So we're going to have a fields. What I really want is the fields values, not the other stuff. And then the field value even does this fun thing now, where we get a value and a display value back. So again, there's a little, the structure, the data structure of these records looks different depending on if you're getting them in from the flow or if you're getting them back from the get record call. So, it's not the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying because if I were to expose this character record and get it in, from a flow or some other way, I wouldn't be able to build the HTML template, consistently. Or what I'm, maybe what I want to do instead is actually get the value back here, right? And then I have to adjust and then get the, turn this map of string field values just into an object of its own that are, just key value, properties. It's not the end of the world. I can loop through the results and build that, but it'd be nice to not have to, I guess. Anyway, let us see here. Got lost here on the other screen. Here we go. All right. We'll go with this. Let's see if we actually get this back. So it's telling me await has no effect on this type of expression. I thought I had to await those, but we'll give it. We'll follow it through. We'll get some debugging up and walk it through. Let's see. If then get, and I think that's enough for us to at least start some debugging on these. So the good news is I still haven't had to write any oh wait, wire data, you can only how do I do get get record without wire? Oh, okay, wait. So the wire, I forget, the wire is reactive. So it will only fire. It will only fire. So if I'm looking at this example on Stack Exchange here, it's only going to fire when the record ID receives a value. So actually, maybe we can see if anyone else has anything to say about that. I don't want to write Apex. That's my other kind of mission in life, is don't write any Apex if you don't have to. I think we're okay. I think we could, so yeah, I think because it's only going to wire if it sees the value is available. So if we did this, right, wire this. And then we can put our fields up here. I think it's okay if we do that. I swear I did that in an async call, but maybe I was just dreaming. So yeah, if we're just going to do that for now. Otherwise, equals data. Okay. We still might need our connected callback, but not right now. Okay. All right, so let's put that now into our kind of component hierarchy. Our character component's not showing anything right now, but if we do C, and are we passing, we have two things we can expose that we can pass in. I'm going to pass in the character record ID. And that's going to be this value. Okay. guess we don't need that in divs. All right. And then let's just render something here. This can be character record.name. Let's put a check around that. Oh, what did we lose here? Invalid syntax. What? Oh. Yep. Okay. All right. Now let's see how we're doing here. So we should, what we should do is, let's enable lightning debugging if it's not already in this org. Yep, definitely going to want that. And I may have to do some session tweaking stuff because, where are you? Oh wait, session management? Nope. Session setting, I feel like there's... I think I'm going to turn off Lightning Web Security because it was just causing... I recall it causing some issues with debugging before. It's good to have on, but... And then there was also... We don't... Nope, we want to leave that off. Leave browser caching off. I think we're okay with that one. I forget, but... Those fields keep changing, or values keep changing on me, and sometimes it just doesn't debug you the way you would expect. Okay, so we should be able to, again, let's rerun. Oop, guess not. Character record ID is not defined. Oh, wait, do I have to put that in? I think I have to put that in quotes, right? Because I want to reference it dynamically. Here, I think. Like that? I think that's right. Oops. Okay, did that save? It did save. Let's refresh this. Oh. Okay, how'd we do? We got back... Did we? What did we get back here? Let's debug and find out what we got back. Sources. Oh, no, we're going to do a... Wait a second. Did we... Yep, we have that in our character. We're passing that value. Are we rendering anything up here? We should be. Maybe we just have to, maybe our cache just isn't cleared because I don't even see a reference to the underlying component here in our, oh, there it is. Okay. So, let's see, character record ID. We're getting that value. I might just throw a connected callback on this so I can like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to capture any of these breakpoints here. Now it feels like we're not. Let's at least write the. Oh wait, are we getting an error? Bad request. Expected dot in all. Oh. I think I'm missing something in the get record call here. Get record expects. All right, it wants the full field name. Okay. My bad. Forgot that part. This is character. Okay. Probably a better way to reference those as well, but. Okay, that should have saved by now. Let's go over here. I realize I have my debug or my console, my browser console up, but you're probably not seeing that. See if maybe I can get that up on screen here at some point as well. Okay, so we got. Yep, so we got data. We're just not referencing it correctly in the in our object that we get back. So this is where, like, I'd like to normalize. I want to take the, again, I apologize, you can't see this. Can I get that up on screen real quick? Let's try something. Dev tools. Here we go. Okay. we'll see how it feels about this for however long. You can see the structure down here. This is the data that comes back. Everything's within the fields collection here, or array, object, I guess. The keys are the names, and then the values are buried in the values. So I really want to just take data.fields structure and turn it into the structure that we're kind of used to, which is, you know, object property name equals value. So I think we can write a little script to do that when that data comes back. So I would say, we could, I think we could just loop the field properties, and I'm not going to pretend to remember how to do that. So JavaScript loop object properties. Good old internet's gonna tell me how to do that. Okay, yeah, so we can do object.entries. I think we can do that because these are objects unto themselves. Yes. Is that right? Key value. The value is actually going to be what? Here we're looping, this is A something, B42, that's our object. This is our fields really, but our object, our property is actually is an object unto itself. So can we do that? Or maybe we need to do something different. We could just do a for. Maybe we just do that. Old school. So for var prop in data.fields. I'm gonna just reset character as an object, and then let's see, prop. This is going to be data dot fields prop. Right. That's gonna. Oh, I'm sorry, this is prop, because we want to get the value, the name of that field, and then it's going to equal data.fields prop. Yes? Maybe? See what that looks like. Well, that's a fun little sound. Why is it doing that? Can we make it not make that noise, wherever that noise is coming from? Oh boy. How about no sound effects from my computer? Okay, we're going to see about fixing that. Y'all are going to hear some sounds. I think that's... sorry about that. I'm actually trying to find out why part of the stream isn't working over on Twitch. Okay, so we've got this now. Let's do a hard reload. Hopefully we'll get ourselves an object that looks more like what comes through from the flow side of the house. Did we do a hard refresh? Because it doesn't look like we did. What? Okay, nope, we got it now. We still don't have our value though, so let's loop. Actually, let's. I'm gonna write that out to the. Let's write that out to the console too, or this character record. In the meantime, I'll do a. Let's drop a couple more of those in there. Okay, so this is where the fun begins, because I'm not getting my, I don't know why I'm not getting my, not getting any debug details, which is, this is what I ran into before. What did I do to fix that? It might be here. This might be where I need to debug from. There we go. Okay. Interesting that it's firing. It fires that a couple of times, which is kind of fun. All right, 1, 2, 3 nothings. Okay, now we have data. We have data, but we didn't get into our. Hit it again. Oh wait, doesn't this always? Wait. This always returns both of these. I'm looking at this as if it's one result back. Yep. So if error, and then if data. All right. If error does not equal undefined. And if data does not equal undefined, that would probably help. Probably would help. We're getting help on the Twitch stream here. Okay, this will, okay, settings, output, got it. Okay, all right. So our problem is our stream rate is too high. And that's why Twitch is not happy with us right now. So I'm using more, I'm pushing more bandwidth than I ought to, and it's probably a miracle that any of the other ones are working. Today we learned. thumbs up. Thumbs up to you, buddy. Thank you for your help. Thanks, Restream support. Too much bandwidth. Sorry, Twitch. We'll catch you on the next one. Okay, so let's do a hard reload. Yep, that was working exactly the way it was supposed to, except, and I was doing it wrong. So there we go. What just happened? Oh, okay. Wrong button. Okay, that's... Okay, we shouldn't really be hitting this. I don't think we have any errors coming through. If error does not equal... But it does. So why did it write anything? That's neat. So, okay, hang on one second. Let's see, what am I, error, dot error? Let's see, what is coming across here? What am I doing wrong? The object that it gets back on get record. Oh, it's one or the other. That's that. Whew. You think I've like done this before, but all right. If we have an error object, if we have a data object, there we go. That's the problem. I swear I've done this once or twice. No, really. No, really. I swear. Okay, that should maybe work. Let's get back over here. All right, so if something's still weird. Well, I'm gonna let it ride and just like, let's see if we hopefully drop down into our other condition here at some point. What am I? Data. What is going on? Oh, it's an object. That's why. Okay. Wowzers. There's that. We're going to find a way through this, everybody. Did you save? Hopefully you saved. You're still saving. All right, that's saved. All right, 12th time's a charm. Empty cache, hard reload. Now, so we got an object bag right off the bat here, and our fields, and this is Hermione Granger. Okay, cool. So let's drop in here, and then data.fields is an object, and so actually I'm missing a step here. We are gonna fill the object. The property is ID, but data.field. This is not actually what we want, because this points at the object that stores the values. So I actually just want to go one more step here and get dot value back there. So that kind of cleans the object back to old school to be consistent with what we get from the flow. Always these spots, in the platform where things are evolving, sometimes just at different rates, and you're getting sometimes results in data structure looking different. Oops. Now, all that said, how do we feel about this component? Us asking our component to do what we're telling it to do here. We have 3 characters, or 3 game characters in our game, and we have therefore 3 callouts to make. This is not this is not terrible, right? I guess I should preface with that. Like, this is definitely not. Can I actually see those calls? Let's see here. Yep, here they are. So get record with fields. What do these look like? Yeah, so these are our 3 calls that are being made. And somewhere they exist on the timeline here. This timeline is tiny. There they are. Can I make that bigger? Can't see them. Pretty quick. Let's see, timing. Here we go. These were... They may have been in a waiting state because I had some debug going on. So if I turn all that off, and then let's run it again. We can watch for stop and restart network and rerun this. Just to kind of get a vibe for what we're, what did we incur when we made those 3 callouts? We ended up with 50 milliseconds each. A little bit of... Oh wait, that's not the one. That's start flow. So that started everything off, and then here's our 3 calls to get our people. What's no, that's not what we want. Pretty quick, right? I mean, in the scale of what we're dealing with here, very manageable. Now, for some reason, I had a list of 500 game characters, and I asked it to do the same thing. Performance is going to take a little bit of a different turn at that point for us. So I know there's kind of the box carring. Does that still happen? Is box carring still a thing? Queues up Apex actions. So minimize network traffic by bulking into one. I love how they have to boxcar-ing. So I wonder if this also happens with like get record calls. I'm curious. LMC boxcar get record. Is there any mention of boxcarring in here? Nope. So Salesforce for artisans. I like your website. So with boxcar, it looks like boxcarring Apex methods is a thing. Do we have a get record out here? I would like to believe that it would boxcar the native calls as well. But it does look like 3 different calls, so I don't know what the boxcarification looks like. It's been a minute since we've done any kind of testing around this kind of thing. This might be, this might be fun to explore at some point. Like, hey, does that work or not? So either way, I mean, we can sort of see in the, in the grand scheme of, what am I doing wrong here? Can I like, I feel like there's a way to zoom in and out of this. I can't figure it out. I don't know. At any rate, so we got 3 calls. We got back what we wanted. We restructured it into what kind of expecting, and I think we got data somewhere here. Yep, there's Thor, Hermione, and Merlin. Okay, cool. So what we don't have are images of any sort right now, and we probably don't need to display all this other stuff. So I think we can get rid of, I think what we're going to end up with, right, is probably the character showing first, image, name, and then hit points below it. So really game character record is just going to do that. But we needed those other values. So that's cool. Meanwhile, over here in character, let's say, I'll just say picture here, and probably we'll put just a little style on this so we can see that that's now a CSS expert. I am not. I can Google my way through some things, but this ain't gonna be pretty for at least not for a minute. We'll make this right though. No, don't despair. Solid 1 pixel. Okay. What we probably want to do is actually grid this, right? So I think we want our characters to go top to bottom in at least in their sequence for right now. So we can, I think we can do that. think we can do that. Let's see. Yeah, we can do that. Let's get a grid. Let's get some LWs or some SLDS out here. We just want a grid with one, really with one, a one column grid. Yeah. Arguably, maybe we don't need a grid. We can just put them one after the other. Yeah, we don't. We'll skip the grid for now. We'll show a picture. We'll show a name, and that will be the job of this component. And you know, one thing we could do also is actually like expose a couple of slots, right? We could put a slot in this. Put a slot in the character. So if we want to put the HP and the because actually if we want to make this a little, all right, let's have some fun, right? Let's make a, we're gonna make a div. This will be the container. I'm just gonna take what I did here. We'll kind of make it look, you know, have a little bit more style to it. Within that div, we'll put a picture. I'm just going to grab an image for right now, just something, you know, who's our, I'm sure there's a picture of a wizard out here somewhere. He looks Merlin-ish, right? Yeah. Okay. I'll drop this in there too. So it kind of like, well, it looks a little bit more like the baseball card style here. All right. So yeah, we'll put some slots. We can put a slot in where the, after where the name goes, so we can pass in the hit points, max hit points. Let's see how this looks for a second. Everybody's going to look like Merlin. That doesn't work. Probably doesn't like the, oh yeah, that's not the, it's not the link we're looking for here. So eventually we'll read this from the record, obviously. See how it feels about that one. But we have some structure here regardless. So Thor, Hermione, Merlin, and they're top to bottom. So we can probably, we have a little bit more screen real estate than than that. I think we can probably afford 200 and, you know, what would, let's see, height 240 with 180, is that 3 to 2? Am I doing that right? I think I'm doing that right. Or is it 160? No, it's 160. There. So make those a little bigger. We'll have their names there. Let's do a slot for the pass markup into slot, right? So we, if we just have a slot, we can put our values in it, but it might make sense to have, if we make our slot be, you know, hit points, right? So character, and I guess it depends how prescriptive we want to be with that layout. We could make it the responsibility of the game character to decide how it wants to render itself. Which, if that's the case, we could basically call this slot, you know, after name, right? And then it's a little less like, I don't care what you do in there. You can put whatever you want in there. Be my guest. Okay, let's refresh, see if we made a couple of tweaks there. So change some layout. Okay, still not digging our images. It must be. It's not a legit image. I guess that's the, you know, is this a legit image? If we just take it back to the ping. Yeah, that works a little better. Okay. Okay. Now that might look more Merlin-ish, but so let's also let's play around with our slot here. Right, so when we can make that a div up on our game character. Div slot equals, this is after name, and then we'll maybe we make that a span because we actually want to put the div. Well, no, we don't. We can just do this, right? Just put the hit points in there, and let's do that. Now this should be old school, so we probably should use some like monotyped font collection, right? Something really chunky. Seems like that would make sense. All right, let's see. Do we have? Hopefully, we have pictures, and then we have hit points in there too. There we go. We have a little bit of space at the end. Oh, because that's just our height. Yeah, we just defined the same height over everywhere. Okay, so we got some cards here and some hit points here. So starting to look like our character lineup. Maybe we do want to grid it out so it's sort of just for screen real estate purposes. It's more 2x2. Let me turn off this debug for a minute. A little bit. There we go. Sorry, I've been having that right on top of the screen there. Yeah, so then easy use of slot, right? We don't have to pass anything. Don't have to pass anything down. We let the character card do what it needs to do. Really, the game character is just kind of collecting that and passing it down. So let's see what is next. So we've got our characters here. We could indicate. We may want to pass the active character so that we could sort of show who's up. We would need to pass that into the repeater, and then we would need we probably need a parameter on the game character. We'll say is active. I'm going to default that to false. And actually what we could do is if I go up to the repeater, let's say active game character ID. We might just want to pass out the whole active game character. Let's see. Because we don't... Well, actually, do we know if it's active? We know based on the turn. If we've just passed current turn, right? Game quest step round turn. Right? If we pass the current turn, then we can say, oh, well, this is the game character whose current turn it is. So then we could pass that down through all of them. Let's see. We let the repeater decide to do that. So instead we would have a current turn record. And then we can say get is active, which would say return this dot game character record dot ID equals this dot current turn record dot, I think it's going to be that. So we can let the component decide if it should render as the active, and if it does, then we'll probably do some styling, around that. For right now, I probably will just output is active on the game character. Now, if I go back to the repeater here, I need API current turn record. Oh, and then that has to be in our got that there. So current turn is going to get passed down to the game character. So in our repeater, let's break these by line so they're a little easier to read. Current turn records equals If that's null or just put a little protection in there for that. And let's just render it out here somewhere. We can just say is active. There we go. Okay, so now we will hopefully know. Oh wait, no, we need to do one more thing. We need to go refresh this. We need to pass the current turn to the component. Okay, so now it's got the current turn, so now this should flow down and tell us which character is active, which I think it's Hermione based on the screen that we had up before. It is Hermione, and that is true now. Okay, so we've got a Boolean on the game character that tells us, are you active or not? It's her turn, so we want to do something here to highlight Hermione as our active player or active character who's making the decision essentially. How might we do that? We could well, I mean, we could make the we could adjust the padding. We could put something, we could put something else in there. For right now, I think I'm just going to leave it kind of as is here. But we know that now. So I think we have everything we need to know about our characters. Now, as this gets more sophisticated, right? Eventually, maybe we want to look at the inventory that one of these players has on hand and be able to show, hey, what are you holding? That kind of thing. So I might have a future where I can click on these characters and be able to go basically to another screen flow that says, show me what you got. Show me your inventory, or make a choice, right? Like we're just talking about fighting right now. So maybe there's going to be, we could have a future where I do click on or maybe I'm not clicking here, but I'm deciding, am I going to attack, in like Final Fantasy, it was like fight, magic, item, run, or something like that. So that could be a slightly different view for us within this view, maybe, or something that, something different that says it's Hermione's turn. We highlight Hermione, and then maybe there's the options here on the right because she's active. So she has her little kind of selection menu happening here. And then I would have to listen for fight. And when I fight, I pick who. And then when I pick who, then it carries forward. So there could be some button click action here at some point. But yeah, I think I think I'm going to pause there. We're having a little bit of technical issues with the stream. I have to change some values anyway, but unfortunately to do that, I have to stop the stream. So it's a little bit of a mess up on my part. But we've got our characters laid out here, and then I think we'll get our monsters pretty quick as well. Get a little bit more screen real estate here, because we could, back again, Final Fantasy days, you could have like 9 monsters on a screen at a time. So that might be, little extra work for, or need a little bit more space for that. So yeah, I think we're going to wrap for now. I know this is a little bit shorter than usual, but there's some, some technical glitches that threw some things off, and but I think every week it takes a little more practice, a little more experimenting to get things working on here. So, if you're watching, you're already watching the recording, because I don't know if who we've got on with us right now. So, we'll be back next Friday, and we'll have a little more tech squared away, and we'll probably have maybe even a little more progress on this between now and next time. So. Thanks for hanging out and watching some code get slung and doing some LWC flow funnery. And yeah, I'm Tom. You can't do that on Salesforce. Well,